Uju relatives, Shangwewe Kamiguqueen Indigenous. I'm Jamie Kellicott with HIR Wellness Institute, and we are here live for emotional sobriety. I'm getting our smudge ready so that we can start off our time today together in a good way. And here's some smudge for both of you, Xavier and John, and all of you out there, relatives. Miigwech for joining us. Thank you so much for being here. Happy Friday. We are back again. It is Emotional Sobriety live here with HIR Wellness Institute. And for those of you relatives who this is your first time joining us, first off, welcome. Welcome to our time together. And for those of you who are not sure who HIR Wellness is, let me explain a little bit. So we are a nonprofit who serves Indigenous and underserved communities, especially those who have been impacted by sexual assault, domestic violence, intimate partner violence, human trafficking, and MMIP, missing and murdered Indigenous people. All of our services are free. Everything we do right now is virtual due to the pandemic. We have a beautiful space in the Gemma campus in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And we are just really, truly so blessed to still be able to offer these services to all of you relatives. We work with victims of crime. We work with many of our community members who are walking with a lot of struggles, just like each of us. We've all had a hard struggle. Our life events that have happened have impacted all of us in many different ways. For myself, I like to explain just a little bit about who I am and where I come from. I am Lakudere, I'm Ojibwe, I am a mom and a wife and an auntie and a grandma and a sister and a daughter. And I am a survivor from sexual assault, domestic violence, from multiple perpetrators. And my children have experienced that same abuse. I am also walking in recovery. I've been walking the red road for 6 years and from alcohol. And so I say that because I really want you all, relatives, to know that we're here to create safety together. I understand the hardships that come with many of those things that I just mentioned. My hope is that you will feel our love and our spirit. You will feel a connection, even if we're in the middle of this pandemic. And I know it's hard. It is hard on all of us. But we still can come together in these virtual spaces and still hold space for each other and still find a way to connect, find a way to hear each other's story, even if it's just a little piece of it, and find some comfort in that and find some healing in that, and also learn a new healthy coping skill along the way. And so before we go any further, I would like to introduce the rest of our relatives who are here with us today. So we have Xavier and John, and I'm going to pass it over to Xavier. Could you please introduce yourself to all of us, Xavier? Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Jamie, for the beautiful introduction as always. Hello, relatives. Happy Friday. Welcome to Emotional Sobriety with us. My name is Xavier Smart. I am a community healer and counselor here at HIR Wellness. So I'm everywhere. My energy is in all places. Um, and I absolutely love being able to hold space for each and every one of you relatives being here every Friday. I look forward to it, being able to model what a private group could look like.
Yeah.
Just being able to talk through some real stuff, some real issues that we're all dealing with. How can we navigate during this time of COVID-19 while we walk the red road, while we um, walk the path of recovery? How can we cope with this? Because this is definitely a hard time, can be such a struggle, and we're so grateful to be here to provide this service. To We're truly blessed to be able to still provide this during this time, as we continue to adapt to this virtual world. So that's, a little bit about me, and who I am. And again, just forever grateful for this opportunity, and looking forward to getting to know you all, relatives. We definitely encourage you to comment, bring your voices into this space so that we can honor you, we can acknowledge you, tell you that, hey, we see you, we hear you,
Yeah.
and that we're here for you as well. So with that, I will pass to John.
Yep, thank you so much, Xavier and Jamie, for sharing. And hi, relatives. My name is John Yang, and I am a social work intern. And I currently attend the University of Wisconsin Milwaukee. And this is my second semester. And again, I just love being here every single Friday with Xavier and Jamie. And we love being here for you too, relatives, and just bringing our authentic selves every single week. And a lot of these topics that we're talking about, we know that you can relate to it as well. And we're sharing our truth, which is so important. And we want you to understand that. And feel free to comment down below and kind of let us know. And also, the person moderating every single Friday is me. So sometimes my eyes kind of move back and forth. So just so you know, I am watching at the comment section and I do reply. And then anytime you comment, I do let everyone here know. And we can also reply on Facebook Live as well. So feel free to comment and let us know how you're doing, or along the way, if like there's any techniques that works for you, feel free to share that as well, just because what works for you may be beneficial for someone else. So we just
Yeah.
highly encourage all of the love, all of the sharing. And that's one reason why we love coming here every single Friday, just building this little community for emotional sobriety. Thank you so much.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Xavier. It's such a blessing to have both of you here with us. It's an honor for me to be able to sit in this space, create this circle with you both, and be able to model that for our relatives. Relatives, this space here that we're creating every week together. It's not only a place to tap into when you are maybe having a hard day, maybe you are walking in recovery and you're early in recovery and you're really wondering, how do I do this? How do I keep doing this? It's really difficult. Maybe it's been years that you've been walking in recovery. Maybe you're not in recovery at all. You may not identify that way, but we still have struggles in life, even when we're not walking in recovery, or if that's something that's been a part of our story. The pandemic has been difficult. So if those are the cases, this is a place for you to come and to be able to share, have community, even in this virtual setting. And we always start with a smudge, so we can start off in a good way. That's part of my teachings, is to use our sacred medicines to help us through just navigating difficult times, just navigating daily life. I use my sacred medicines daily. That is just a part of who I am. And we also read a meditation every time we come together. We read out of the book that is called Meditations with Native American Elders, The Four Seasons by Don Coyes. This book I found when I was early in recovery and I found my way to Wellbriety. And the way that things are, I believe that the creator, great spirit, um, whatever you call whatever that higher power is for you, brings things and people to you at the right time when they're supposed to. And that was one of those pieces that helped me in my recovery. So I always like to bring it back. I like to sort of pay it forward by reading some of those passages that were helpful. So today's meditation, John is going to read for us, and we'll see what we all think about that meditation after we hear it.
All right, thank you so much, Jamie. And then relatives, I will also post the elders meditation in the comment section so you can also follow along. So just give me 1 second to post this.
Sure.
All right, so for the elders meditation for today, we grieve more because we have been disconnected from our earth, our first mother, our spiritual mother. And that's from Larry P., I believe it's pronounced Atkins, and it says Chippewa. Where does all life come from? The earth. Where does everything return to? The earth. Where do values come from? The earth. Many people are lost because they don't know the importance of connection to the earth. They connect to money, to relationships, to success, to goals. When we are disconnected from the earth, we have feelings of being sad or lost. When we are connected to the earth, we feel warm and secure. Great Spirit, help me stay connected to the Mother Earth.
Thank you, John. Miigwech. That's a beautiful one. I really love this one. I really do. This makes me think of so many things. Okay, so right now I'm thinking about how, isn't it interesting? So like, even if we put aside our culture, or let's say we put aside whatever our higher power or belief system is, how like in these different healing practices that we learn along our journey, whether it's like, hey, go take a walk, or just go stand outside in nature, sit and listen to the birds, or all these little things that we hear in Western medicine that'll tell us that this is how you can feel better. And what we're really saying is connect to Mother Earth, connect to our natural environment, which is something that our ancestors knew. This is not like new practice, right? But Western medicine kind of makes it like, ooh, we figured out a new thing. If you go sit outside, you can feel better. And so for me, this is a reminder of, oh my gosh, our ancestors were so brilliant. And along the way, there have been some really hard things that have happened that caused us to not connect the same way to our natural environment. And we can start today. If we haven't been doing that, we can start today. We could, as soon as we're done here, we can take ourselves, put on a appropriate winter coat so you don't freeze, and walk outside and just stand in the middle of our natural environment and connect to our natural environment. I love nature. I love going out into the woods. That's where I go to lay my tobacco, to pray. We used to do Wellness Fridays. Remember, Xavier? We'd be out in the woods.
Yeah.
That's where we were.
Yeah.
So yeah, this one really speaks to me. What are you thinking about, Xavier? I would love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, thank you, Jamie, for sharing your voice and your insight and bringing it to this space. I really resonate with this one as well, because I am definitely an earth baby. I need earth. Like, I just need a big hug and like to be wrapped up in leaves and everything. So I am all about this and being able to connect with Mother Earth. Again, I know I've shared in the past, but I'm one of those people that I do not like wearing shoes at all. So I love being outside without shoes on, so I can just feel the warmth of the earth. Like I just feel so connected. I feel grounded. I just feel more at peace, and it's the best feeling ever. And just being able to even just hug a tree, or just stand with a tree, like is the best. I know it's kind of hard right now because it's cold,
Right.
um, and finding time to spend with Mother Earth right now can be a little bit hard, a little bit difficult because you're like, look, it's too cold. I don't want to be out there. I'm just trying to be in this blanket. I'm good. But I think being able to tap into that inner child. I know Jamie shared something with us earlier,
I
right?
was just thinking about that.
Yeah, and being able to have some fun in the snow. I know we have a snow coming our way, so of course, within safety, being able to just connect in that way and saying like, hey, I know this is cold, I know this is not the best, but when was the last time that I gave myself permission to have some fun and play in the snow, right? Like tap into that inner child and just go at it, have some fun, make some snow angels, right? I'll
Mhm.
have to take that advice myself because I'm not too fond of the cold. So but I absolutely just love this meditation, and I love earth. I'm all about it. So I'm all about it. So those are my thoughts.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. Thank you, Xavier. Thank you for
Mm,
saying that. And I was totally thinking that how I have not always loved winter, have not always loved the snow, but I'm learning to appreciate it. I'm learning to appreciate it. And with the snow lately, I have been all in it. Like me and my kids, my sons, just like they're looking at me like, what is mom doing? Mom's off in her own world, just like playing by herself, just laying in the snow, making snow angels, rolling around. Um, but yeah, there's something really healing and really freeing about that. And I did it in the evening because by the time we're done, right, with work, really, and then dinner's done. Well, now it's nighttime. And so, but that's such a beautiful time because you can literally just like plop back and just look at the stars, look at the sky, just sort of just even just lay there and just like feel. I guess part of this is also help making me think about how when we're feeling uncomfortable, when we're feeling like there is something icky happening within us, or we're just not even sure, the fact that we go out there and let's say I'm going to use snow as the example, we go outside and we lay in the snow, you're going to start to feel different sensations. There's going to be
mhm,
cool. You're going to feel cold on your back. It's going to start to bring you back to your body, to
mhm,
start to realize like, oh, okay, here I am. Okay, I feel that. That's actually a good thing. You can feel the cold. You're noticing it. You're like, it kind of jogs you, like sort of shakes you up a little bit. So aside for the fact that you're connecting with the earth, you're connecting with the elements around you, looking up at the sky, seeing the stars, maybe even taking a moment to just close your eyes and listen to the sounds. You're connecting to your body as well. And that playfulness is so important because many of us who are walking our healing journey, many of us who are in recovery or have had struggles throughout our life, we haven't tapped into our inner child in a really long time. And we need to. We need to. And we need to be able to talk to that inner child and say, you're beautiful. And it's okay if you want to have some fun and you want to play and you're safe now. I mean, I say that with the hope that you are all safe. And I recognize that not everybody is always safe. And I want to take a moment right now to say that if you are not feeling safe, I ask that you call our Cares Warm line. I ask that you reach out to us and let us know how we can help. We have many services, and they're all free. So we're here for you. If this is a crisis, if there is something, if this is an emergency and it's a crisis, I ask that you call 911 or you call one of the crisis hotlines. There are people out there who are ready to help you. They are standing ready right now, waiting to help you. And I hope that as we sit here and talk with each other, I hope that there's a little something that's helping you in this moment. Maybe it's the sound of our voice. Maybe it's the smudge. Maybe it was the elder's meditation. Whatever that is, I hope that something is resonating with you and that you're feeling a little bit more at peace right now in this moment than you were maybe a minute ago. All of this is for you. And you all are so strong and amazing. And sometimes we forget that. That's okay. I forget it too. I could tell you about some times when I forgot, because it's happened a lot of times. That's okay. We come back, we circle back, and we say, all right, here I am. I'm maybe taking a few deep breaths. I'm going to get myself grounded. I'm going to bring myself back to calm. Maybe I'm going to use music to help me, to help soothe me in that moment. Maybe I'm going to lay in the snow. Maybe I'm going to go outside and lean up against a tree. Or maybe I'm going to just touch that tree and feel what the tree feels like. Feel their energy. Maybe I'm going to look up at the stars. Malia Chow, our community healer, mentioned that today is the moon is the fullest today, she had said. And so this would be a beautiful day to go out tonight and look up at the moon. So yeah, being grounded, our earth, we need her. We need her. So that was a great conversation. John, are you thinking of anything? What's been going on with you? How are you doing over there?
Yeah. First, I just wanted to read a few comments. One is from Jessica. She said,
Oh,
"Thank you for this space, and nature is healing."
yes. Thank you, Jessica.
And then Kristen Welch said, yes, the earth encourages us to play.
Yeah. Oh, Poso, Kristen, Wei Wainin.
Yeah.
So glad that you're here with us. Thank you. Miigwech.
And then for me, I really like this elders meditation. For me, I haven't always been connected to nature growing up, so it's something that I learned to appreciate over time. And relatives, for anyone who's out there, you know, I didn't used to appreciate it. It was something that I had to learn over time, and you can as well. And for me, it's just the little stuff, like sometimes just going outside, closing your eyes, and just listening to nature, or just
Mhm.
feeling the breeze. And that's so healing. That's something that I learned over time to appreciate. Or sometimes you just want to sit down on the grass and just feel the grass.
Mhm.
It's the simple stuff like that about nature that can be so healing. And it's something that I had to learn to do. I wasn't brought up to see it from that perspective. So for me, growing up, it was something that I kind of explored and kind of learned over time. And now I do really appreciate the little things about nature. And sometimes it's going, I know for many people who live in like the city where it's so much traffic, so much busy, people going back and forth everywhere, it can be kind of hard to find that quiet spot for nature. But it's so simple as going to your local park and taking a walk and just appreciating the sight and just noticing the little, maybe it's the scent, maybe it's the breeze, and maybe it's the river. It's just the little things that you can appreciate about nature, whether you're in the city or somewhere where it's more secluded. So for me, it's something that it was a journey for me to really learn to appreciate nature. And now that I have, it's still a learning journey for me.
Yeah.
But I'm starting to notice the little small things about nature, about Earth, and learning
Mm-hmm.
to appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. That's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you, John. And you're making me, you're causing me to think about gratitude. Because remember a few weeks back, I think we were talking about gratitude and how important that is, and how when we start to actually intentionally think about things that we're grateful for, that it changes the way that
Mm.
our brain makeup, right? The connections that we're making within our brain. Um, and that, so I don't know if any of you have ever experienced this before, but I used to be like in life, things go by really quickly. You're just kind of moving from one thing to the next, and you're like on autopilot. And I never paid attention to all the different colors necessarily that are outside. And gratitude was one of those things that helped me see different shades of colors, where like if we're like full bloom in like late spring going into summer, and you're looking around at all the different greens, like there's multiple greens that are out there, and if we weren't really paying attention, or if we weren't maybe being I guess I'm thinking of like, if we're not slowing down and taking time to be present and to really like pull in some of that goodness that's out there, we might notice, we might miss that. We might miss that there are multiple shades of green. Did y'all know that? Multiple shades of green. Gratitude, all from just slowing down and taking a moment to use one of your journals. If you're like me, I have like I said before we went on, I got like 17 books looking at me. Some of them are for me to read, and some of them are journals that I write in because I've got different journals for different things. But I enjoy writing, and it does actually help me. It helps to, if I'm really feeling just out of it, out of sorts. Sometimes you can just sort of like just blah, just get it all out, get all that stuff out, take it from here, put it onto paper. We used to talk about that a lot in Wellness Friday, how if we're just having a moment, take our paper, our pad of paper, our journal, our notebook, take it from here and just write it down. Sometimes just that physical act of writing to paper, get it out of the head. And just a reminder that you're not your thoughts. We're observers of our thoughts, but we are not our thoughts. We have a lot of different thoughts throughout the day. Doesn't mean that's who we are. We're just observing them. Okay. I know, what we'd really love to bring into this space right now is we always also talk about our workbook, because we do have a workbook that we use. And I'll show you it real quick. It's called Maintaining Emotional Sobriety During COVID-19, Transforming Trauma into Post-Traumatic Growth. And this book was written by Tian Dayton. And we have found this book to be really helpful. And so we like being able to add bits and pieces of it. Sometimes we'll take little pieces from other organizations that we really love the work that they're doing. For instance, Generation Red Road is another one that we really love the work that they're doing. And Xavier and I have had the pleasure of being able to learn from them. And so we might talk about some of their stuff sometimes, but this is another one. And Xavier, would you be willing to talk to us about our workbook and what are we going to do today? What are we going to talk about?
Yes, absolutely. Thanks for bringing the workbook into the space, transitioning us
Yeah,
to the workbook. Again, relatives, as Jamie stated, we really enjoy bringing this workbook into the space as a way to just anchor us into how can we maintain and walk the red road, walk recovery during this COVID-19 period, right? Um, so we've talked about how can we create safety, how can we put a box, right? As Jamie just kind of drew the box, how can we draw a box around this time period and know that this is not going to last forever, that the
right.
experience is it's just temporary, right? So we've just explored some of that and really allowing and walking through different ways to create safety so that we can get to a point now where we can begin to explore a little bit deeper about how we're feeling and talk a little bit further about how we're feeling. And when we feel that we're becoming a little bit um, too activated, right? Our stress response is going up. We're noticing some tension. We're noticing some hot flashes coming on as we talk about things. We can go back to those ways that we created safety, so we can tune into our deep breathing. We can slow down. We can, reach out to loved ones, talk with them, jam out to some music, journal if we need to, right? So those are just a few different things that we've talked about as a way to create safety. Um, so today, what we're going to do is just explore some symptoms, right, that we're experiencing during this time. And the list is endless, right? But I'll just kind of read through some of the experiences that are in this book, and then from there we'll just kind of explore, talk about our own experiences, and there's a few reflection questions here that each one of us will just kind of navigate. And relatives, we invite you all just to share your voice, to give your input, your insight. It is definitely always appreciated. And again, this space is for you all to do so. That we're here to truly hold this space for you all, um, and just learn from one another as we continue to just navigate our healing journeys together. So, with that, we'll get into it. So some of the symptoms that we may be experiencing right now. So I'll just name a few. Right, we have fear around safety, anger, aggression. We have acting out behaviors, worrying or disturbing thoughts. We have sleep troubles, nightmares, right? Because that can definitely be a thing. Food issues, um, having, being in denial about everything that's going on, right? Anxiety, panic attacks, and even the desire to self-medicate, right? This is such a this time period is just, it gets easier, but it doesn't, with,
Yeah,
again, so much uncertainty, so much unknowingness going on, right? So for me, um out of these, symptoms that are on this page, right, when I think about things that I'm experiencing, I've definitely experienced at least one of these at some point, right? But I think what stands out to me the most is, I think, the anxiety, panic attacks, right? Having moments where it's just kind of out of nowhere, right, where you feel these strong urges of um just your body, right? So I just kind of want to also touch base on the difference, right, between anxiety and panic attacks. So with anxiety attacks, those can be where stress kind of builds up over time, right? So it's one thing after another, and then eventually you notice that you get to a point where your body's response is you're breathing heavy, your heart is racing, you're sweaty, um you know. So it's really about this buildup of events, right? And then it gets to a point where it's so much that one thing happens, and then it kind of I guess not sends you over the edge, but it really creates this strong distress where, you know, your thoughts are racing, and you're so sweaty, your heart is beating fast. Whereas panic attacks are sudden, kind of out of nowhere. Your chest is tight, it can almost feel like you're having a heart attack. um you know, it's the heavy breathing, can't really breathe, you're almost in a disoriented state, like where am I, what's going on. So those are, you know, just the difference between the two, right? And you know, I think I've experienced a little bit, not to a great extent, but a little bit of both during this time, especially just, you know, when I think about the uncertainty of everything going on, when I think about um you know, family members, loved ones, again, are they safe? I hope they're doing well. Sometimes it'll be random where it's like, oh, just a sudden like worry of, you know, worried about mom, worried about dad, worried about relatives, right? So you know, that's something that I've, you know, experienced. um so going to some of reflection questions here in the book. So I think which one is standing out to me. um so when I'm feeling this feeling, what do I tend to do? And I think that's, it's so important to be able to recognize and to explore that and to reflect, like, what do I do when I'm feeling this? So relatives, take a moment to just kind of check in with yourself, right? So COVID's been going on for a while, almost a year, I think a year now. What have you been experiencing? Has there been anger? Has there been fear of safety, hopelessness, helplessness, feeling a desire to self-medicate, right? And in those moments, what do you do? How do you how do you deal with it in those moments, right? And know that there's no right or wrong way, right? That, you know, your body responds to it, you react to it in a way that, you know, is in the way that you need to in that moment, right? To help again bring your body back to a state of regulation, a state of feeling grounded. So for me, in those moments when I feel that strong anxiety, um, I feel a sudden panic, right? I take that moment to really connect with my breathing and allow myself to slow down as best as I can. And you know, if it's a family member, or if it's, you know, something that I'm worried about in that way, send them a text, right? Send them, hey, just thinking about you, and let them know, right? And getting that response or sending that text, you know, lets you know that, hey, I'm here, I'm in the present moment, everything is okay. They responded, right? That, you know, my mind is and my body is just kind of, you know, responding to whatever it is that it's responding to. But right here, right now, they're doing okay. I'm back, right? And then again, being able to take, for me, taking a sip of water, right? Water's our first medicine. So being able to connect with that and say, like, okay, I'm gonna drink some water. This is going to, number one, cause me to slow down, help me breathe, because I have to slow down my breathing when I drink water. So this is going to force me to slow down. so that I can take a deep breath, so that I can come back to this moment and feel through it, right? And I think being able to really accept that this is what I'm feeling right now. I think oftentimes, at least for myself, I kind of run from it, or I try to dismiss it and say like, oh no, this isn't what I'm feeling, or I try to hide it, right? But being able to say like, no, this is truly what I am feeling right now, and it is okay that I'm feeling this. Um, but this feeling again, this isn't going to last forever. This is right now. I'm going to put it in this box and know that this is just temporary. And that's just how I cope with it, right? And as well as journaling, being able to journal as well, those are just a few things I gravitate towards in those moments. So again, relatives, I definitely encourage you all, how do you cope? How do you respond in those moments when you notice um, those strong distressing feelings? So with that, I'm curious, Jamie, where are you at with all of this, right? What have you experienced, and what is it that you want to reflect on?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Thank you, Xavier. That was really very wonderful. I'm glad that you talked about that. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for your vulnerability. Because we need to hear about that. We need to hear about the differences between anxiety and panic, and what could that feel like, and what can we do to get out of there, Yeah, love it. And I love how you talked about acceptance. I think that a lot of times society puts so much stigma on mental illness, and it makes us feel like we are really bad or weird if we say that we have anxiety, or we are battling depression, or you know, any number of things, right? Or even if someone is just having a hard day, we're just having a hard day, like all of a sudden we're kind of feeling like we need to act like we got it all together, instead of, God forbid, we show that we have emotions, you know?
Mhm.
Yes. So thank you for that, because I know that our relatives needed to hear that. So thank you. For me, what I'm thinking about right now is grief, sadness, and despair. So I know last week I shared a bit about how that has truly been a struggle for me, that during this time of COVID, I'm realizing the amount of sadness and grief that I'm carrying, that I've been carrying on my heart, that I've been walking with, and to most mostly letting go, but not always, not all of it, that I still have stuff that is just there. And it just the grief of not being able to see my family, the grief of the people that we have lost during this time. um there's a lot of heaviness with the pandemic, and a lot of sadness that has occurred. And so that's been sitting with me a lot for the last couple weeks. And so I say that, relatives, because I want you to know that, you know what, sometimes there's still these lingering things that are kind of there, but maybe they're not like full on there, and they're just like making your day to be where it's just the worst ever that you felt. But there can still be these things that are sort of weighing us down, kind of making your shoulders feel tense. Um, and that's why a lot of times we talk about our body. I really try to pay attention to what is my body feeling like, so I know what do I have to do for me to feel better. And these times where we come together, this is what we're doing. We're practicing we're sort of making a safety plan for our mental health. What are we going to do if we start feeling a certain way? So for me, with the grief and the sadness and despair that I am noticing the last few weeks, that I am carrying still, I still have it with me, and I don't want to carry it anymore. I want to be able to let it go. I don't want to walk around with sadness and grief. It's okay if like every now and then I have a day where I'm sad. I'm good with that. But I don't want to keep carrying it around for weeks on end. I just don't. And so here's what I want to talk about right now. It says, when you're feeling this way, what's your self-talk? Do you have an inner monologue? Can you write it out? And so for me, I've learned over time how powerful positive self-talk is. Because there was a time in my life for a lot of years that all I was saying to myself was bad, negative, hurtful, hateful things about myself. And so it took a long time and it took practice. And I still have days where I'm like, do I believe that? I don't know. Someone just gave me a compliment and I'm feeling uncomfortable, right? I still have that. I experienced it today. John and Xavier know because we were all there together. So it it still occurs and it's still something that I'm working on. So here's my vulnerability and my truth is that I still have to work on positive self-talk, that when I am feeling really down, I will literally talk to myself. And if it's not in an area where it would look good, if I was talking to myself, I will silently talk to myself. So positive self-talk means you can verbalize it out loud. Jamie, you are strong. You are an amazing, beautiful woman, and you have a big heart. I love you. You could say that out loud, or I could just be laying because maybe I'm feeling a lot of the grief and the sadness, and maybe I'm almost like getting ready for bed and I'm trying to go to sleep, but I still am feeling this. And if I didn't feel like talking out loud, I could just sit there and I could just lay with my eyes closed. I could practice deep breathing and I could think about those positive statements. And maybe I would envision them. Envision, what does that look like to be a strong and beautiful person? Maybe I would envision really happy things or instances of my experience. And I would bring myself back to those moments. And I would continue to breathe and focus on my breath. And then I would eventually bring myself out of that. So positive self-talk, yeah, I could literally say it, which I do encourage. I do encourage that. To start getting comfortable with saying good stuff about ourselves. What's all the good? We've got so much good, so much good. We just aren't necessarily used to saying it and hearing it. And so then it becomes uncomfortable. And it's like, wait a minute. I don't know. I'm supposed to be the one giving compliments. But yeah, positive self-talk and reminding ourselves that it's not going to last forever. It isn't. It isn't going to last forever. And also part of that self-talk, I'm also thinking about how others' responses isn't me. It's like not me. So if I'm feeling hurt because someone else did or said or whatever, it's like, well, hold on now. That's not me. Like, I didn't do that. So I'm not going to carry that. I'm not going to carry what other people have said or done. I can't carry that. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about. My message today is positive self-talk. Thank you, Xavier.
Thank you, Jamie, for sharing, bringing your voice, your vulnerability into this space. Yeah, self-talk is one of those things where navigating it can be sticky, can be uncomfortable, and it's truly a journey. As we continue to navigate our healing journeys and walking this earth, right? Because there's, again, so many narratives, so many things we've been told based off of our sexual orientation, the color of our skin, our religion. Um, so that self-talk piece is so can be hard, but know, relatives, that it's possible, and it doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
That it's truly, truly a journey. So be kind to yourselves,
Mm-hmm.
and know that, I know we often talk about breathing and breath work, and you all are probably like, why are they talking about breathing? We get it, we
Again?
breathe, right?
Again with the breathing?
But breathing it's one of those things where, yes, we automatically do it, but give yourself permission right now, relatives, to pay attention to how you're breathing. Are you holding your breath? Are you breathing are you breathing fast? Is there a pause in between your breathing? Right. So that's one of those things where we don't really pay attention to how we're breathing, and we don't notice how that impacts us. So after paying attention to how you're breathing, notice what you're feeling in your body. What are you feeling? You're feeling anxious. It's some of this conversation, uh, did it, cause something to come up for you? And all of that is impacted by our breathing, right? So when we are able to tune into our breathing, when we can take a deep breath, we can slow down. It allows us just to come back, to be present, so that we can maybe move into that positive self-talk, that healthy self-talk, right? Because think about it, if you're in a state of anxiety, if you're in a state of strong grief, that self-talk isn't going to be positive. It's going
Yeah.
to be something harsh, right? I'm not worthy. I'm stupid. I'm this, I'm that, right? But if you give yourself permission, again, to just really tune into your breath, so that you're able to ground yourself, tune into your body, so that you can think of just a little bit clearer, right? And allow that shift of energy, that sweet breeze, to kind of blow that away, so that you can get to a point of, okay, I'm back, and you're right. I am kind. I am smart. I am strong.
Mm-hmm.
So we will always, always encourage deep breathing, taking a sip of water, right? Because those are ways that we can connect with Mother Earth as well.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, John, I'm curious, to hear your thoughts. What have you been experiencing, and what do you want to reflect on?
Yeah, just very quickly, I do want to read a few comments. And they're from
Ooh.
Gwen. She said that she grabbed some tasty tea and settled down.
Yay. Oh, Bonjour, Gwen. Thank you.
And then she also said that positive self talk was uncomfortable at first, and she tries to do it every day.
Good. That's awesome.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely.
And I
That's
agree. Positive self talk is something that doesn't happen overnight. It's something that you have to believe in slowly, and it happens over time. Even at the beginning, you may not believe it, but it's something that if you do it consistently, eventually you do start to believe that, and you start
Mhm.
being more kind to yourself. Because again, all of us, we struggle. Even though we're the professional, we are just like everyone else. We're not perfect, and we bring in our vulnerability every single week. Um, and it's just the reality. We're here with techniques, but not every single technique that we talk about works for us. and we share the techniques that do work for us. And then one thing about this is the worry and disturbing thoughts is what really stood out for me, because I know that at the beginning of this pandemic, I was just worried about, like, it happened in March, I believe, or late February. And I got into school and I was just like, okay, how is school going to go? What happens if this never goes away? And with everything shutting down, just kind of reflecting back off last week, just worried about family members and stuff like that. And, it is very real that many people start getting very worried and start allowing that to take over. For me, it was so important to understand that this is just a small snippet, temporary. It's a beginning, and there will be an end. Um, and just making sure that I'm safe, family members and people around me is safe, and making sure that you're thinking about more than yourself, because it's about a community effort. We can't do this by ourselves. Everyone has to stick together to make this happen. And even with this vaccine out now, we still need to do our part and cover our, wearing a mask. Even after the vaccine, you still want to take that precaution. So for me, it was something about learning to think beyond myself, um, and just understanding that, even though this is very worrisome, I know that it's not forever, because I get to see the good from it, all of this bad. I get to see all of the little connections that are happening that wasn't there before. And you start to appreciate the little things that is going on. Like last week, Xavier and me, our family, are communicating, having our own personal chat now and stuff like that. So it's just the little things that you can really appreciate from all of this. And even with school starting this week for me, I was worried about, oh my gosh, having to go virtual and Zoom for groups and for classes again. And how am I going to make it? But, you know, I really did a lot of deep breathing and just kind of slowing down, just telling myself it will be okay. And knowing that it will be okay, and that it's okay to worry. Um, but you just don't want that to overtake every single day that's going on, and understanding that you may not have a perfect day every single day, and that's okay. You're allowed to have those feelings, but just don't allow those feelings to take over your entire day. So for me, worry and disturbing thoughts was something that really stood out for me, just because even every now and then, it still pops up. You start to see the news of all of these new strands of this coronavirus, and you're just like, oh my gosh, what's going on now? Or will it ever end? And just understanding that it will, but we just need to do our part and make sure that we're protected, our family's protected, our community is protected, and that's the most important part. And then one of the questions that really stood out for me is, what is the kindest, most reassuring thing to say to yourself at these moments? And for me, I always tell myself, I always remind myself when I start experiencing a lot of like anxiety or just thinking too much, that everything will be okay. It may not be okay right now, but it will be okay. And just learning that during this moment when I'm not feeling okay, to just be kind to myself. And other things that I do is guided meditation. I love guided meditation, because sometimes you don't want to listen to your thoughts because your thoughts are racing. So sometimes that guided meditation allows you to listen to someone else talk and just follow what their voice is saying. And it kind of helps distract you from thinking about 10,000 other things that is going on in your head. And also, one thing that I love to do is writing poems. And I love journaling as well, but I just prefer poetry for some reason. And again, even if you're having all of these negative thoughts, I write about it in my poetry. And when you write down those negativity, it helps get it off your chest and off your mind and put it onto paper, and you can actually see it. And it really helps out. And, it releases all of that tension, all of that frustration. So I do highly encourage that. And like what Jamie was talking about, like positive self talk, something that doesn't happen overnight, something that you have to begin somewhere. Because if you don't begin, it won't happen. You have to start somewhere. And all of these techniques that we're teaching you or sharing with you, it wasn't something that happened overnight for us. It was something that we
Right.
stuck with and consistently did over and over. And many of these techniques I gave up on. And then after a few tries, I'll come back. And then you start noticing that, oh, it does work. Or maybe it changes a little bit. Maybe something red clicked and it seems like it's working for you. So it's okay if you drop it for now and then revisit it later, because maybe at that very moment it didn't work for you. So again, just understand that we do bring our authentic selves every single week, and then COVID impacts all of us too. And we're just, as we're human beings also. We're not perfect. And that's why we have this virtual group on Facebook Live to let you know how a Zoom group would look like. And we will continue to bring our authentic selves every single week, whether it's on Facebook or through a private Zoom group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you, John, for sharing, bringing your voice into the space. Um, thank you both for sharing and being able to bring your authentic selves, your truest versions of you into this space, and um, showing up for our relatives, right? And you know, again, relatives, we understand that this time is can be so difficult, so hard, especially as those of us that may be in recovery, those of us that may be walking the red road. You know, you may be experiencing some of the things that we've talked about, right? Or you may even be feeling like, hey, um, I've been in recovery for some time and this has added extra stress, and I have this desire to want to self-medicate, like those urges are coming back because of um the uncertainty, the worry, the fear, right? um and relatives, we just want you to know that we see you, that we are here for you, and know that, again, being able to um, replace the habit, right, with something that can um, uplift your spirit, that can bring you joy, right? Take the time out to even reflect if there is that desire to medicate, to self medicate, to self soothe. Think about, reflect on those moments where you did use. How was your self talk? And then compare it to how it is now that you aren't self-medicating. Is there a difference, right? um, how does it impact you? Do you notice that your anxiety is increased when you're medicated, using a substance, versus when you're not using substance? Do you feel a lot calmer? Do you feel that your thinking's a little bit clearer, right? So taking the time out to even just reflect on that um, can help, right? So that's just something I wanted to throw in there and bring that piece into this space, that um, that desire to self medicate. We acknowledge that that is definitely real. It's real. It's a real urge, and um, something that many of us are still learning to navigate, regardless of where we are in our recovery journey. um so I just again wanted to bring that into this space, and absolutely love being able to again share this time with you all. um this group is really about, again, being in relationship with each other and normalizing that we are all feeling all types of feelings
Yeah.
and that there are ways to navigate those feelings. There are ways to support each other, and this is just one of them.
Mhm.
um and I also wanted to just touch base on, this aspect of self-talk, of affirmations, and um, repetition and doing things right. That our brains, we have the ability uh, to create new neural networks, right, if you will. That it's neuroplasticity, where our brain can create new networks. It's can create new patterns, new wavelengths, right? So being able to talk to ourselves in those ways, it sends those signals to your brain where it's like, oh, okay, maybe, even though you may not believe it at that moment, at some point you will. At some
Mhm.
point, that strategy, that exercise that you're doing, you'll feel a difference, right? So continuing to give it a try and know that, your brain is doing its thing, and that it'll pay off, right? So trust it, trust the journey and the process of it all. um, so I just wanted to add that piece on there as well. Um, with that, I'll pass to Jamie, for so we can kind of wrap up, close up. So thank you all.
Oh, thank you, Xavier. Thank you, John.
Hmm.
That was wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. I love the conversation that we had today. Relatives, I hope that there was something that touched your heart, that touched your spirit, that just gave you some sort of comfort, a little bit of relief. Happy Friday. We have officially wrapped up our week, and we are starting to roll into the weekend. And we are wishing you so much joy and so much love. Remember to reach out to your support systems. Reach out to family, friends, support groups. Reach out to us. You can email me if you are interested in joining a private support group for emotional sobriety. My email address is jkellicut@hirwellness.org. And it is org, right? Oh my gosh, I
Yeah.
write it all the
I'll add
time.
it in the comments.
I'll add it. I write it all the time. Like, when you just are used to just typing things,
Yep.
you don't really
Autopilot.
think about it anymore.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. It has been a long week, relatives. Please enjoy the moon tonight. Go outside and just breathe in the air. Look at the stars. Take a moment. Put ceremony back into your day. Ceremony doesn't have to be only at certain times of the year. Everything that we do can turn into a ceremony. What's sacred to you? What makes you feel better? If you've been struggling with something that you've been holding on to for a long time, here's something that I'm going to do tonight. I'm going to write it all down. I'm going to go outside and I'm going to burn it. And then I'm going to lay down and I am going to look at the moon. I am going to pray. Maybe I'll even sing, but I'm just going to spend time doing that, having my own ceremony. Some good stuff that we can do, everybody. Xavier, I think you have a positive, don't you have a quote that you
Yes,
could send us off?
I do have a quote, but before I
Wonderful.
get to the quote, relatives, I would like to just say that um, Jamie, it is Jamie's birthday this weekend, and
Mm,
um, we just want to let her know how much we appreciate her, the support, the love that she brings, not only to our organization, but to you all, relatives. So spread some love, give Jamie some love, um,
thank you.
and we just thank you so much, Jamie, for all that you do. And we hope that you have a wonderful weekend, a wonderful birthday, because you deserve it. You
Thank you.
deserve it. You deserve it. So
Thank
you're
you.
welcome. And with that, I will read our positive quote today. So I have my tea in my Winnie the Pooh mug, which says, "Some days are more tumbly than others," which is very true. So look at that. But the quote says,
Love it.
"The creation of 1,000 forests is in one acorn." And that was said by
Mm,
Ralph Waldo Emerson.
beautiful. I love that. Thank you, Xavier, for sharing that with us. Thank you, John, both of you, for being here every week for our relatives. And we will be back again next week, Friday, right about 4 o'clock-ish, 4 p.m.-ish, Central Standard Time. And we send you lots of love, lots of joy, lots of peace. Have a beautiful evening. We'll see you next week.